So good morning.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, it's done. So good morning. We are the timer has linked to the player recording. So we first of all let me say thank you for coming today. For those who haven't seen these webinar presentations, so remember that at the end of this presentation, at the end of I think 12 o'clock, before 12 o'clock, so timer after 2 hours, I think so on 3 o'clock, more or less 3 or 4 o'clock, the recorded will be done. So you can go and you can see the material, the content explanations about this session for today, this 22nd of Tuesday. First of all, what I'm going to do is to share, to continue to explain, to continue to discuss. I'm going to share my PowerPoint. Remember that the contents of the course have been uploaded also, so you can access not only for the first module but also for the second module today. This is my presentation about managing your time. So good morning everybody. A fantastic day to say things, to express, to try to get the time better. It's fantastic. So as usual, I focus on my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So the point is that I can't see faces, so I'm going to see my screen. If someone wanted to say something, they can use the microphone, or wanted to make a questions about something that consider is important. So remember that this is our second day. This is my our second day, the Tuesday. We will start, as you see, at 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Remember that the rest of the days will be at 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Okay, but today we will start 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. We will have a break, perhaps at 10:30, approximately. I think so, 15 minutes, and then I prefer to put these 15 minutes after the 12 o'clock. So 11:45 we will finish, because we retake the break of these 15 minutes. This is for students at me, and I think so is for I don't mind to make it. So we will leave at 11:45. Perhaps you wanted to ask questions or something. I don't mind to stay here by solving the questions or whatever issues that you consider are important to you. Think about this course as it's in the Cloud Heart project. It's according to our Tamer is our coordinator. Supervisor in this area, so decided to upload this workshop for that our students in this universities, 6 universities, might take advantage of it. So we will start the managing your time. Yesterday we started by explaining it. Let me make some very overall about the contents that we showed yesterday. We start by explaining about the time management, how to deal your time management. Well, according to our conclusions, the conclusions were that, well, it's vital for us to make what is an activity log. This is one of the exercise. Remember the activity log. This is one of the most important activities, one of the exercises. Students sent me to these exercises in terms of value, or if you didn't do it properly, well, remember that you have time to do those exercises. At the end, approximately, I make at the finish. We finish on Thursday, so more or less on next Tuesdays or next Monday, next Tuesdays, depends on how we close it. But you have time 2 days approximately to send the proper exercises and about the different models. By doing so, these sending exercises you can access to your certification. Okay, so remember that it's mandatory to do those exercises. Also, you can use time. Sometimes I give you time to solve the questions you wanted to do. Okay, so then apart from the first exercises, we will start by sending the first module. The second model that we saw setting the goal. For me, it's fantastic, setting the goals. Okay, this was the base idea because even though it implies a little of effort, it requires effort to do that. But we need to focus on smart goals, because by doing so we can make a route, we can make a path, we can make a track to get our goal, our objective in daily basis. So this is very important before starting. So for me, it's like this is fantastic. For me, it's amazing. It's superb. It's just like you see, it's like you start your lifetime goals, starting what your values are. And then when you decide what your values are, you need to decide how achieve my lifetime goals. Okay. And we decided to start by doing these questions about, it's like a brainstorming, you're brainstorming about you, trying to, fantastic students told me yesterday, sent me the exercises, and the exercise for me was amazing. Send me, Antonio, I send you the exercises, I read it, and was fantastic. So I'm not going to remember, something is private, but telling that what is the purpose in life, to say, well, I want to life teaching or whatever, I like to like scientific, I want to be in this, want to be teaching a scientific, I like this is what is the green areas, I want to be want to continue for this idea. And then when you just clarify this girl is very clarified very well what their values are. So this is fantastic when you see someone that have very clear their values. Even when you are a kid, sometimes when you're a kid or very to say, I wanted to be like this, I wanted to be like that. Sometimes there are other people that have not these opportunities. They don't know. Even students, they have no idea about what is the route that I need to take, or what is the path that I wanted to continue to. So this is very important, very important to understanding you because of the time, and then understanding what a smart goals involves. Because sometimes it's a pity when you see a student, for instance, that they start grades and they started to do that because the family, because the parents, because the relative, because the friends, and they go in this area because my friend told me that, or my mom told me that, and then they regret. They regret. Now you say they regret, they're going to come back. So can you imagine the time that you've loosened, because you consider that these smart goals are not really important, because you consider that these lifetime goals were not very important in that moment. So it is really a pity to say, my God, you have considered it before by doing this workshop, for instance, by explaining those exercises. Perhaps you might not lose 5 years of your time, of your life, because then you're going to come back. So keeping in mind these issues, because for me are crucial. So then we start by explaining by explaining the SMART goals. SMART goals in this area. What is the benefit of the SMART goals? The benefits of SMART goals is when you clarify when you just clarify your lifetime goals and your lifetime goals. Then the second part, the second step is to clarify your SMART goal. But remember, SMART goals need to accomplish this your lifetime goals. I'm repeating it. I'm repeating it because I postponed this exercise in the module 2. So you see to the module 1, the exercise, you never see the short of exercises. However, in the module 2, you can see that you need to do the SMART goals and also the lifetime goals. I think so. It's SMART goals. I know lifetime goals is in the first module. However, SMART goals are included in the second module. For me, this will be the first exercises that you need today. So this is the reason for making these short explanations about SMART goals. And if someone didn't attend the class yesterday, you have the choice to see it by the cloud of a cloud project. However, you wanted to see the most crucial, the most important ideas. I'm going to make these examples. We repeat the SMART goal in terms of doing this exercise for today. And well, when you just clarify your lifetime goals, then you need to do, well, how I might accomplish my lifetime goals. But remember that depends on the lifetime goal, you need to combine. Sometimes you are very good in good aspect. You like go to have a brilliant career. You need to get a brilliant, you need to get a very competitor in terms of getting money, for instance, or being very famous, or being in the insert in being with a family, living with a family or parents, friends, or whatever. But whatever it is, you need to see how you are, and then starting by making some goals to accomplish it. And this is one of exercises of that we saw about Ashley. This is perhaps is familiar to you if you attended the classes for yesterday. So this is a family. It's a girl, a single mother that have two kids. And they need to cope with kids. It's very difficult. Sometimes you are a parent, perhaps the majority of people, the vast majority of people here are not married. I'm quite sure is, but remember that it's difficult to some extent when you have family and you need to struggle with your work or whatever. It's very difficult sometimes to combine two activities, to multitask activities at the same time. So the idea of it is that this is for this girl, this mother, Ashley, they have in terms of lifetime goals, apparently, she focus on family, it's important, family. And the other side is to have brilliant career. And this brilliant career has to do with a freelance writing business. Freelance writing business for those of us is someone that they decide freelance, the term of freelance, is when you are not being hired for a company. However, you can work for different companies. So being hired for a company is when you have a contract, and this is a contract, this is a relation between the company and you. You need to go every day of the week, 8 hours in these locations, and then you come back. However, freelance it's more a free spirit, and we said free spirit. You have more freedom. Perhaps you can't have 5, 6, 10 companies, whatever it is, companies, and you have a relationship They are not hire contract. However, they are a service that is called outsourcing. Outsourcing is when you contract someone. And so you make a service, and you receive a compensation, money. Um, your incomes comes from the services that you make in different companies. Okay, so that's the explanations of freelance. Well, here we have to the idea. So she decided to create a smart goals. Okay, so this is what you have to do in the first exercises. Have a look by having a look to the first exercises. Now I'm going to share. This is the first exercises for today. And the first exercises is, as you can see in my screen, is SMART goals for time management. Okay, this is the first exercises and for today. So this is your the clarifications. I point out the different explanations about how to make SMART goals. You have your two choices, going to the PowerPoint presentations up here. Okay, as you can see, there are some explanations about how to do your SMART goals. And explains that these explanations involves these 5 important rules according to the program. You see the program, the point 2, we talk about these 5 rules that need to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timeless. And then the same, you have another examples about Ronald, employer, and we sit and as another example about Ronald here. And this is different. Ronald employer has asked him to take training courses related to a new role in the company in order to be considered for career advances. Ronald hopes to get a promotions in the next few months, so his goal is to complete a training course outside of work in 6 weeks. He plans to set aside a specific amount of time before and after work in order to finish the training on time. So it's different. This example is not in the PowerPoint presentations. It's another example. I'm going to make it bigger, as you can see, make it bigger. Okay, so this is another example. And we wanted to take a training course. Training course is it's an example that about my career, the training course related to a new role. So like it's an example of employee. It's I wouldn't say students, someone that attended a course, but I change names. I change names to well, according to the private, I change Ronald's for another Spanish name. That is the real example. Is a real example about what happened 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I think so. It's an employer that had asked him to take training course related to a new role in the company. So the great company was about to supervise. They wanted to be a Ronald, as you can see, hopes to get a promotion in the new role. So his goal is to complete the training course outside of work in 6 weeks. So we, my consulting or my area, help these people to get this training course. By learning the different skills, you can get promotions in the company. So he plans to set aside a specific amount of time before and afterward in order to finish the training on time. So the idea is that this company was interested in training this person, but he wanted to get promoted. He was a good seller, and they wanted to be promoted as supervisor. However, he showed a lack of skills. So we help him to get to carry out this course by learning the different contents in terms of user skills. Okay, So for Ronald, remember, it's very specific. Ronald has a particular goal set to help him accomplish this goal. It's clear for Ronald, for instance, when we talk to Ronald, we say, Ronald, you need to go to this course. Remember that the company paid to you, are paying to you this training course is, and you need to go on a daily basis to accomplish the assessment, and by complete the assessment to get your training course. Okay? So obviously, in this way, the company say, well, we need to train Ronald in these areas. We are particularly focused on these areas. We thought that Ronald has to have leadership. We need to need to learn about making decisions. We need to Ronald learned about being a good communicator. We need to Ronald learned about how dealing with groups, but team working for us are really important, Tony. So Ronald have a goal. Ronald, well, this is my goal, and my goal is like this: is I want to get a promotion in the field. So when Ronald started to complete this goal, so we need to think that we need to analyze this goal are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And this is what you have to do in this exercise. There are two examples. So you need to show me in these next exercises, the exercises of the first exercises of today, two examples about you. It's not the point to put an example about something. It's not the role. It's not important to do this course. It's about you. How this goal might help you in future. So try to put a goal that helps you to achieve your lifetime goals and achieve this goal. And by doing this goal, by reading every day this goal, you can learn how to deal with it, how to accomplish it. In this year, we might say that it's specific because Ronald has a particular goal. It's a specific, they say about training course. It's a training course, so it's not something. So you say, well, I need to train. No, it's a training course by ruling with a company set to help him to accomplish the training course in order to improve your receiving a promotion. So his promotion is something very specific, and the training course is something very specific. So we might say there are something, it's not non-specific involved to say, well, you need to train, whatever, but how I need to train or where. No, here is different. We have a training course, and by doing this course, I wanted to achieve a promotion. Measurable involves the period of time. A period of time is about 6 weeks, okay? 6 weeks period. So we are including time to say that 6 weeks. It's not when you say something like, well, you train work during this year or whatever you want, of when you have time or when you have free time or at home or at work. They are nothing of measurable. Here we saw a 6 weeks period. So the course states 6 weeks period to approximately a month and a half. The third perhaps shows a little students say, well, it turns out I can't understand very well what is attainable. This is very, very, I wouldn't say complicated, but try to understand very well what is attainable. Attainable is something that you need you can't get it. You might say when something is attainable, It's not something really exaggerated. There is very typical in companies to say something that is not attainable. When you finish a goal, very in sellings, and you finish the goal, then after the year, when you finish the year, the company increase 5% the goals. You say, how is it possible? Yes, because we are assured that you get it very easy, your goals, and you have time, so I'm going to increase it 5% more. This strategy is rubbish. It's not the link. Because if you did it, perhaps what you can't get is this motivation. Instead of motivations, you need to get these motivations of the staff. So attainable is this, is something is attainable. Can you, as you can see, we might say, well, it's a course, involves half and 2 weeks, so it's not much. However, you read the example related to the Caberona hopes to get a promotion, so it's really involved in this course, and his goal is to complete a training course. He plans to set a specific amount of time before and after the work in order to finish the training on time. So remember that attainable, according to what we read here, is that a runner has put a gap on the agenda before and after the work. A specific account. So they decided to occupy a gap of our agenda in terms of putting these tasks before and after the work. Okay, so we might say that it is attainable because it involves a specific amount of time as before and after the work. It's not about when you say something that is not attainable. Imagine a course of a long time, year or year and a half. We can assure if it's exercise, if it's a goal are obtained. I think it's very, very easy to understand now when this explanation. Then the second explanation has to do with relevant, and time-based. Relevant is need to do with your career. Something is relevant when you start by doing a goal. You need to think that is what you wanted to achieve is something related with your lifetime goals. This is relevant. When you decided to put something to something that is not relevant, is that you have not a relation with your lifetime goals. So relevant, it involves it, something that is related to. In this case, for Ronald is achieved to a promotion. So we apparently, for Ronald to grow in his own career, in his own promotions, in his own career, is very important. One, we might say that for Ronald, one of the most important goals is to be success in your professional career. And with my set, and if one of the lifetime goals is like this, we must say that it's relevant because Ronald wanted to achieve a promotion. And by achieving a promotion, you get higher, you promote, and because you promote, perhaps you will start to be as a worker, and now you might be a supervisor or a management in some of the department. And also by doing so, by being a promoted, perhaps we can assure that we get more money because it involves more duties and involves more tasks. So we might say that by doing these courses and achieving their promotions, Ronald has at the same time, Ronald achieved one of the lifetime goal. And finally, what is more important is time-based. Time-based involves that given a time. And here you read it, you realize that the training course involves 6 weeks, 4 weeks, and 2 months and a half. So it's the deadline It's about a sequence. Don't you think that this is fantastic? It's fantastic to see it, to see how you can better improve my time by doing these exercises. So, any questions about these first exercises? Then the second exercises for today is about this when you just done the first goal, 2 goals. Okay, you need to prepare 2 goals for this exercise for today. Okay, 2 goals. Important the goals, but sometimes you need to cut it in different small parts. You divide, you will win. You divide it. It was is very saying on the Rome. I don't know the senator, but you divide it by you dividing. Caesar, I think so, but I know Caesar says when you divide it the enemy, you might win. And this is the same. This you need to divide it by dividing to make it in small things, small goals. You can get the overall goal. So everything is linked. It's like a chain. You start by your lifetime goals. Second, you start with your SMART goals, and then you start with your tasks. So by doing your tasks, you can accomplish your SMART goal. And by doing your SMART goals, you accomplish your lifetime. So this is create a list of smaller things, by in terms of accomplish your SMART goal. Here I put an example. Is an example about I think so is the example of name. I think is the name of the second example. Remember that you have 3 examples, 2 in the PowerPoints and 1 more on the example of the exercises in order to understand it. And this is the case of David that wants to lose weight, to focus on to be more for any circumstances. So we might assure apparently that that was his one lifetime goals. Okay, in terms of David. So to be is a busy father of 4 who struggles with his weight, busy father. So perhaps for David, the lifetime goals is to keep fit. Healthy is very, very important, or few important, pretty important. Then, well, busy father, family as well. It's a busy father with family are important for David. And also keep fit, state healthy care are really important for them. And they need to stay in 2 minds, in 2 parts. One of them is the family, busy father, perhaps money as well as busy, trying to mix business and also family. We have no keep fit, become healthier about it. Well, this is our, we did it. We finished it. So is to start eating better, setting a time, a day, and to work around 30 minutes. This is one of example. And this is the, we explained a specific, measurable, attainable, and the relevant and time-based. So I'm explaining it in order to prepare to carry out the second exercises of today. The second exercises of today said prepare a list in order to achieve the SMART goal. And what involves this exercise? Well, first of all, it involves to note the example of, for instance, David. So it's not an idea to make the exercise about David. It's not the goal. This is an example. So you need to stick to your goals. So you need to stick to your goals, SMART goals that you did it before. It's not that simple to start by explaining now David and make other goals, other lists about David. No, it's not the point. The idea is to focus on which are your goals. And when you just make your goals, it seems to me you did it in the first exercises. So it's something that is related to the first exercises. It has to do with the first exercises. And when you just did the first exercises, it's time to start by list action. And list actions involves trying to divided it in different parts in a smaller task in order to achieve your first goal. And here, the example of a SMART goal, as you can see on my screen, and I prepare and point out a list of action to carry out it. And this is something buying fresh vegetable at the market in daily basis. This is a small task that accomplish this SMART. Well, am I right if I said that buying fresh vegetables at the market in daily basis are correct? Buying fresh vegetables at the market in daily basis are correct? We might assure that is correct, because remember that he wanted to lose weight. So this is one of the actions that by buying these fresh vegetables on daily basis, you eat these fresh vegetables, for instance, in the evaluations. According to the doctors, according to the GPs, they say if you eat more vegetables, you can reduce the weight because they have no contains a lot of calories and other products and other food. I think it's understandable to say that by eating in your daily diet these vegetables, you can't lose fresh vegetables. The other point is during his agenda of having free time to work is like Robert. You remember Robert? Robert for 30 minutes. So the time to say, well, I need to go to 30 minutes every day after 3 o'clock. Start by going to walk for my neighborhood, to relax, to make some of exercises, to pan my hair, and by doing so, well, I'm going to lose weight. So this is one, but you wanted to do this activity, you need to take an account and you need to have free time. And it's putting the shoes of the David when you say, well, I'm going to do 30 minutes. I have no time. I receive a call from my boss, or I wanted to visit a client, or my kids give me that telling to me that they want me to help them with the homework or something like that. So it's not the time. So by skewing this agenda for having free time to work, so it's required to do that. And also last but not least, is preparing a good diet without not many calories. Okay? Preparing a good diet with not many calories are very important as well, including ingredients that good diet without not many calories is another way to accomplish this SMART goal. For me, it's fantastic, because this is very important. When you make the list actions, it enables us to start to the model second model. Okay. Questions so far? Everything is fine, as you can see in your correct. Okay, perfect. People don't say anything. I think they're concentrated in the course as well. So fantastic to me. So let's start by explaining. I'm going to share it. And let's start by explaining this fantastic management term, your time test. Well, managing time, I decided to postpone later I will start by explaining this fantastic matrix, and then we carry out, we're trying to solve the managing your time test. Okay, that is one of the exercises that is included in the first exercises. So managing your time test then, remember that the students are telling me, well, Antonio, in terms of the first exercise, I can see that we need to make these exercises about time management. It's about the first exercise of the list. How good is your time management? So remember that here you need to. Then you wanted to. We have time. I try to do this activity in groups. You want it. Remember, the maximum is 5 and the minimum is 1. And when I take it out, when I fill the gaps of every question, and remember that you have 15 questions, you need to multiply 15 per 5. So if you multiply 15 per 5, that is the maximum quantity, the maximum numbers that you can achieve here is 75. So for someone that start to do this test and if get a number of 75, I would say, oh, you are fantastic. Perhaps you are not enrolled, you don't need to enroll in this course, but according to these examples, you are fantastic. You are superb. You are excellent. You are outstanding. It's fantastic. 75% is obviously more higher. Is higher than me. It's absolutely prioritize everything. You say 5, 5, 5. When you say 5, very often you say 5, 5, 5, very often. So this is fantastic, okay, to carry out these activities. Okay? You know a lot about how you're during your time. So it's fantastic. So remember that at the end of the course, there are 3 levels. Remember that this is the exercise 1. That is, you are over 75. Also, you get over 46 and 75. You're managing your time very effectively. So perhaps you are superb in this idea. You say you have your skill. It's important to understand, because in terms of companies sometimes before the interview, these companies give you tests in order to solve, in order to know how your skills are. So it's very important. As a consultant in human resources, I would say it's a piece of advice. Never I would say something that you need to by force. But it's important to understand the different questions about it. The different questions, but sometimes in a test, perhaps in a work test or employee test, you need to know what involves these activities, or how do you deal with it, or what is the purpose of the company. When they say, I find myself dealing with interruption, for instance. Okay? So this is very important. So as I was saying, there are 3 stages: between 15 and 30, between 31st and 45, and between 46 and 75. There are 3 levels. You get it the maximum, fantastic. You get the minimum, it's not for worried about it. It's not lead you worry about to say, oh my God, I'm in the middle. So you are good. Perhaps the majority of you are in the middle. So sometimes there are people that are studying in the 3rd level. So you need to improve it. You are out, remember that you are here for one purpose: to learn things and to improve it in future. When you are 15, between 30, so you need to arrive that you need to improve your time management skills. But this is something that I wanted to state today in terms of in terms of what is the maximum numbers, maximum assess grade. You want to say grades that I need to accomplish here is 75%. It's 75 points. 75 points. Well, then you wanted to know exactly. I want you to calculate the exactly grade. So you might get a rule of thumb, very not complicated to use here in this. Going to put it better. Well, this is an exercise. Well, you can't do it. A rule of thumb. A rule of thumb, you say 75 could involves 100%. So if I get 47x, that's a rule of thumb to know exactly then I'm going to put here in order to do that. So 75 points here, as you can see. I'm going to make it bigger for students. So when you just clarify the grades, you might make a good rule of thumb. 75 involves 100%. Okay, this is like well, I'm going to put in terms as a Spanish rule. The 10 is the maximum for us. 10 is the maximum. So the other would be 48, 9. So it could be so x. Okay. But to calculate it, what you have to do is to, well, x in this variable for making calculations is equal, it's 49 per 100, 39 per 100, divide it, and then you need to divide it by 75. Okay, this number, so your grade, and this is an example. This is an example to calculate. When you just calculate it, you know about numbers, you say, oh my God, I know it very well, but it's not the case. You can calculate here. Fantastic, fantastic. So I think so. First exercises is explaining. Second exercises on module 2 is explaining as well. So let's move on our management, your time test as well, Spain as well. So let's move to something very, very, very important before breakfast, before our break. I think so. We were at 10:30. At 10:30, we have a break. So we have approximately 30 minutes, more or less, for explaining it. And then after it, we have a break, and then we come back later with the second part of today, and explaining the different exercise for students that can't attend today the class. Well, welcome to the third point of this time schedule. You see it. This is our program. You need to stick to our program. This is our program. We explained it yesterday. We explained setting goals, understanding setting goals, and we focus on effective scheduling. Well, effective scheduling involves that something. There are a lot of contents to explain effective scheduling. But when we started to make these theoretical contents by myself, I say, well, I need to explain it. I don't know what is important for students to do that and state into minds and say, well, I'm going to explain something very, very, very practical for students. And I said, why not to explain this matrix? And effective students planning to make the best use of your time. People ask me question about Pomodoro apps or CETA. I'm not very familiar with this area. Also, I know about it, but these apps, what they need to know in terms of Pomodoro is to control your time, but not control how you deal your time. So it's different. It's different when you put a task and the app control your time. It's like you decided being controlled by a time. But it's not the idea, because if you don't define your lifetime goals, you don't define, for instance, the goals, is nothing. So this is the base. It's like to not make a building from the roof. Okay, so you need to make a roof, a house from the base. So this is using time effectively, not just offensively. So effectively is different as efficiently. Effective and efficient, efficient and effective, efficient and effective, efficient and effective. Remember, effectively is is something that you need to take more things. Okay, trying to give your time in order to do that. You are efficient, effectively. You you are according to the you can accomplish the two goals. However, isn't your time effectively? This is just like you take in account your time. You live forever. You might be efficient and effectively. However, effective is to take in account, for instance, your time, how you use your resources. Here, use your resources. Your resources is your time, how you use your time. So this is being effective. Um, so let's start. So welcome to this matrix. It's about a matrix, about efficiencies, effective matrix, and you need to take into account the time, how you did your time, and in order to divide it, these goals, these your tasks in different parts. So we have 4 tasks, we have 4 parts that we say important goals, critical activities, distractions, and interruptions. So it was Eisenhower, people that decided to create this matrix, but I think it was Stevie, another authors, Stevie Cobbs, I think so, Steve, I don't know, that decided to get this matrix and created it. However, it's not the point. The point here is to make advantage of this matrix. And the matrix are divided in 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. The matrix is divided in 4 parts, as you can see my screen, this screen. Well, in terms of this matrix, we make it bigger. Well, there are 4 parts. They are important goals, distractions, and interruptions, and critical activities. Well, what might I do? Well, would you need to focus on your tasks? First, remember that after starting this module, you do it a list of your tasks to accomplish the goals. So keep in mind these tasks in order to know it. So it's very important which activities are important, which activities, to list your activities, to list your own activities. And when you decided to list your activities, this is the first essay. It's important to classify it by importance and urgency. Important activities and urgent activities. So what involves an important activity? Well, for me, important activity is something that is adding value. For me, you ask important is value. So important is related to value. So it's very important in order to is value that you need to do. Is something that involves well, in order to make it. If you don't do it, perhaps you are in trouble. If you are in trouble, it's not good for you. So important and no important activity. So we might assure what involves important. Important for me is you work consultant, for instance, is what involves value. For instance, when a client decided, for instance, my example, client decided to send it to the client, and by doing so, you can close sell or not. This is very important to me. When you need to carry out an activity in a course or something, it's very important to me, because if I didn't do that, if I couldn't do that, I have found, or I found problems. I got in trouble. No? So you need to take into account what is important and no important activities. Important for me, something that are related to accomplish the goals, perhaps. When something are really important, accomplish more the goals, adding more value to the tasks that you need it. Okay, so then you need to decide it in the tasks that accomplish the goal, which are more important and which are more urgent. But sometimes, to some extent, when students do this list that accomplish the goals and accomplish the SMART goals and accomplish the lifetime goals, you need to account that you are not Superman. I don't know if you are sure that you are not Superman, neither Superwoman. And when you say that, you say Superwoman and Superman, is you have no control of the time. Okay, time is something that you can't control. Even you want to control, you can't control. We have an expiry date, and as after the expiry date, we finish here. Well, there are some people, whatever it is, but it's the rule of life. Huh? Sometimes, as a friend of mine said, that now we are involved in the champion world, the world champion football champion world, and you say, well, sometimes you need to, you are, you have two periods of time, 2 times, 45 minutes first, and then 45 minutes left. Perhaps you are playing the first time. I'm playing the second. I'm playing the second time. And when you finish the second time, you need to say, and sometimes it's true that you need to interchange people. Okay? There are players that are playing now, and then they need to go come back, and other players come. So I don't know if you understand my irony about it. Irony about it, that is true. Okay, well, it's nothing to follow. Okay, so that's the idea. Which activities are important goals? So deciding critical activities, distractions, and interruptions. So this is the first choice for today to understand. The first activity, the third exercises is define which activities are important goals, which are critical activities, which are distractions and interruptions. Okay, so the idea, you say, well, I might say that there are sometimes distractions or interruptions, but sometimes they are different activities. Some things in your daily basis you face that, well, according to the tasks that you need to do, sometimes they are not. You need to classify it in different parts. Sometimes they are very important. Sometimes they are critical activities, sometimes they are interactions, sometimes they are there. So first of all, decided to divide it in importance and urgent. That's the first step. Well, when you just define these activities in terms of urgent and importance, and you can define what are important goals, what are critical activities, distractions, and interruption today. So keep here, and you need to Well, in order to define it, perhaps we need to mix is, and you said, an important and urgent. Okay. Which activities are important and urgent goals, critical activities, distractions and interruptions. How do you address urgent and important issues? Okay, urgent and important. How you address this? So, define these activities that are important and urgent. Activities are which activities are important and urgent goals or critical activities, distractions, and interruptions today. Okay, so you need to define all of them. So let's start by trying to define the different activities. And so an activity perhaps is really important and is really urgent, or perhaps it's an important goal. So this is very, very important to take in account in terms of this this matrix. Important goals, important, focus on it, important goals. So activities, tasks that for you are really important and are really urgent. So remember, in terms of important, when it comes to be important, is activities, projects, something, list of activities, and you feel you have to do to accomplish these SMART goals. So this is the first, trying to define these activities that they are important to accomplish a SMART goal. And try to include everything that takes your time work, however important as well. I don't know, in terms of random, you see the example of Ronald or David that put 3 activities, 3 tasks or activities to accomplish. Perhaps in this example of Ronald, of this example, you need this a list of different activities which are important, more important than others. Perhaps this is very, very important for me. For the Ronald, preparing a good diet, including numerical every day, is very, very important. Okay. Perhaps the second one, scheduling his agenda for having free time to work is not as important as the third one, because sometimes, well, perhaps you have time, others don't have time. But what is better, including a diet or doing exercises? It's a good question. Okay. For me, you ask me this question, I would say, in my honest opinion, I would say that diet is better for working, because the best you diet, the best you eat, the better for losing the weight. Indeed, there are people that have a good diet, can lose weight without not doing any sort of exercise. It's true. Your mom, your father, some friends say, in terms of you like to do exercise, never I did it, some exercises or something like that. But the doctor prepare a good diet, and by eating it, you can't diminish the weight of your loss. So keep in mind, for instance, in terms of importance, I would say that the first one are really important. This is the first one. Say for me, very, 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 very important. Very important. And important, I'm going to say the I, very important. Okay. Second one, well, not too bad. Perhaps it's not as important. So in terms of important, I will see the second. And first is the first important. First, this is the first. I will see second, the second in terms of importance. Second in terms of importance. Okay. So buying fresh vegetable at the market in daily basis is perhaps, I don't know. Perhaps I would say here, second one, I retain the numbers. I will put the second, and then I put the third. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Lovely. Okay, fantastic. So we have the first, preparing good diet. Second, buying fresh, so that this is related to diet. And then I put the exercise in the third time. So you do the same. When you just do the list to accomplish the goals, you need to classify it by doing so. Okay. by doing these exercises. Okay, that's the example. Where is the example is now? The example is here. Okay. Okay. Yes, here it is. Okay, it's here. Okay, let's more down here. Okay, perfect. Well, it is clear. Let's move on. Let's move on these activities. So first of all, activities that are important and urgent. We talk about urgent, important as clear. In terms of value, would you consider yourself that are very important in terms of value, in terms of accomplished as well? How the more important are, the more accomplished as well. Sometimes there are activities that they can't accomplish very much, very much the goal. So to some extent, depend on the grade. There are activities that they are more related to accomplish the goal. There are other activities that they are not really related to accomplish the goals. For me, every activity are important, but you need to create it in different categories. The first, the second, the third, and the fourth. This is in terms of important. But then in terms of urgent, when what involves urgent, where urgent is something that is very close to the timeline. Okay, the more you are related to the timeline, the more is an activity urgent, or the more activity shows urgency. So urgency, we talk about time when you are very close to, very close to the timeline. This is something that is very urgent. When you have a distance from it, when you have a gap, when you have, we said, a period of time, you have more time to do that. The low an activity is urgent. We might say that it's not during activity. So we have two parts, not urgent activities and urgent activities. And when you think about it, you realize that you are working now, for instance, and you see your agenda. You see some activities perhaps that you did it next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. These activities are not urgent now. In 4 weeks, I need to present an exercise, to make an exercise, to sit an exam, to study, to send the practical assignment to the professor, So they are not very important activities. However, to some extent, in four months, perhaps they will change in urgent activities. You did it before. So keep in mind when activity move, an activity change of the color. Okay. For instance, low urgency involves blue or maybe green. We have a long time. Then when the time pass, they change to the green color, green and in yellow. And then when very close to the timeline, it's red. So let's start when you just define it. When you just define these activities, it's time to make this classification. The second part, this is the first part, list activities. Second importance to it, as we explained, but in a scale of 1 to 5. And this is the measure of the importance of it to 5. Well, here, in order to continue to this example, so we might set that here we say 5 to 1. 5 is very important. So we might set here, I change my mind, I decided this is 5 points. Okay, in terms of importance, 5 points. Right? 4 in the second position, perhaps I put 3 points. 3 points. And finally, in the third positions, I set well, 2 points. Okay. So this is the way to classify it in terms of different positions, in terms of different positions. Well, this is clear, very, very clear. And then move on this as the explanations, these explanations. And the explanation said, well, here we are here in terms of the first step. The second step is assign important in terms of this scale, 1 to 5. It's a measure, try not to worry about urgencies in this moment. And then to move on the urgence. And when you just assign importance, it's very important to evaluate the urgency of each activity. During, as I said before, the more you are close to the timeline, the higher is our urgency. So if when you have a gap for doing that, so you involve that just not very urgent, okay? But remember that you need to sit an exam. I need to sit an exam. Oh, this is my task. And sit an exam of physics. Oh, I put in my agenda, and I need in the 22nd of November. I have the exam of 15th of December. Now it's not very, very, very urgent. However, in terms of going to the first urgent in order to go to in the 15th of December or perhaps the 13th of December is really, really urgent to sit an exam. So depends on the exam. Urgent when you have time is not urgent. However, when the time comes, approach to the deadline is very, very, very urgent. Now study the matrix. So let's start the recommendations. So in terms of the next exercises, starting to this exercise for today, the second, this is the urgent and important markers is according to the third exercises for today. Which activities are important? Goals are important and urgent. I put urgent. Okay, remember, and urgent goals, critical activities, distractions, and interruptions today. And how do you manage these strategies? Through strategies, urgent and important issues. So this is the exercise. Adding it is very important to add these words in order to understand better. So this is the second question. First, classify the different activities in the matrix and then using these strategies. So this is what I'm going to explain now. And then we have a break at 10:30. We have a break. And then we stop it and then continue with the last topic. Are you okay? Everything's fine. As I can see, perfect. Do you agree with it? Okay. So it's clear. So let's, do you agree? Okay, sorry. Well, if you agree, so at 10:30 we finish the first topic and the first part of these exercises. So it will be the exercise 3. Well, going to urgent, what involves urgent and important? There are two distinct types of urgent and important activities. So here, the first time here, we have here urgent and important. The strategy, we are here very, very urgent, very, very, very urgent, and very, very, very important. They are critical activities. So critical activities is what you have to do. You can avoid it. When it comes very, very important and urgent, sometimes the urgent comes because it's something urgent. You can't control. I said, when you have time, sometimes you can control it, but sometimes you can't control the environment. You can control the environment of the company. You can control for any circumstances. You have an accident, so this is something that happened and it's urgent. You go to the hospital. So sometimes in a company it's the same. Sometimes arise and you can control. Sometimes happens and you can control. Something occurs and you can control for any circumstances. It's a client that changed their mind. It's a client that is ill. It's a meeting that need to postpone for any circumstances, urgent. So my piece of advice about is to have time. If I was time, sometimes you can control it, you can foresee it. Sometimes you can't foresee it, and because you can't foresee it, you need to focus on have more time. So put a gap, leave some time to your schedule in order to handle unplanned activities. So we are talking about critical activities, okay? So identify which urgent important activities and leave time when it comes to just in case it's so unplanned important activities comes. However, you can control this time by not being procrastination, not immerse on procrastinate. When you procrastinate, you feel you postpone activities and you put it off all activities in other areas. So try to not procrastinate a lot. It's a good piece of advice. So I think it's very clear to have two approach, to leave time and then to start that these activities, every time that were important activities, my goal is to not transform, move on urgent activities. By doing this activity now, for instance, in example of the exam, in the example of the sun, by doing this activity now, by studying now, because I need to sit an exam on 15th of December, if I study now, this activity is not going to change in urgent activities. But when I finish, when 13th of December came, I said, oh, I studied 4 weeks ago. I finished on 12th of December. I'm going to relax. I'm going to forget it. I need to break. 13 and 12, I'm going to relax myself because I studied a lot this exam. So never we might say that you change in always in urgent activity. Okay. So this is important in order to understand that sometimes what your objective, the goal for you every time when it comes to important activities is these activities never need to be urgent activities. Fantastic. I like this. Very, very important. Second activity, urgent and not important. Urgent and not important are here. Urgent are here and not important. Okay, not important, low important, and it's called distraction is called here not important but very urgent. Okay, this is called what's called interruption. Something that's very interruption. You interrupt you. Okay, I'm going to interrupt you. Now this is very important, Antonio. This is very important. This is very important. We need to tackle it. We need to go. They are interruptions. My goal for today, in order to stop if, well, there are some recommendations for it, is to sometimes it's appropriate to say no to the people to solve the problem, because remember that it's not really important, okay? So that's the idea. Sometimes you feel that they're very important, a student or professor or whatever, but sometimes are not very important. No, it's not very important. So when it comes not important, they are interruption. It's better to not attend it at the moment. Encourage people to solve the problems. Encourage to delegate. It's appropriate to say no. Interrupt you at certain times. Perhaps for me it was very good to have a time to respond it. Okay, it's very important. Also for professors to have a time to respond your time. This is my time. I'm going to respond in this period of time. On Wednesday, I'm going to respond everything. On Thursday, I'm going to respond. I'll take a gap of time to define your gap of time and try to focus on the time. This is for this idea in terms of importance. And when it comes something that's not really important, try to get a gap to say. Sometimes it's very important to say no to people. Doesn't matter you say no, people. Sometimes it's very important when you are in work, the next time you're working in a work, you decided to stop it, the people. Don't come here. It's not good that someone come your office and sit down on the office. When you stop it, the better. You stop it. No, I can solve it here. Because if you enter someone and sit down, that's for sure. Imagine that this is someone, my employee, and sit down here expecting me to help him something that they believe, he or she believe is very important, but it's not very important for me. It's going to have a lot of time. It's going to involve a lot of time. So be cautious with it. The third quadrant here, the third quadrant is not urgent but important. Not urgent but important. The same. The goal when it comes, not urgent but important, is the same. Make sure that you have plenty of time to achieve this. And remember to leave enough time in your schedule to deal with unforeseen problems, to make a gap. Not urgent and important are here. Okay, not urgent but important. We have here, but really important. They are important, not urgent, but important. Important goals. Okay. And finally, we have not urgent. Not urgent. This is the not urgent when it's not low terms of urgent, but very important. Important goals. So you need to have time to not make it in critical activity. We never, never want critical activities. We never want. When you are in critical activities, like dangerous, the red color start, the colors start. Something is shouting you, it's like a siren, alarm, 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 alarm. Critical activities. No, in order to not to move on critical activities, we need to have more time. As put an example to control our time and not to make it activities to move to urgent activity, to be urgent. Okay. And finally, we said no urgent and not important. No urgent and not important. Okay. This is called interruptions. Here, well, I'm going to put here, this is the word, okay, interruptions. This is an example. You can use in both sides this example. When someone go to, you say something that believes that they are important, but interruptions are very, very low here in these terms, are not urgent and not important. Okay? In this case, perhaps it's urgent for this guy, it's urgent, but it's not very important to you. So it depends on the mind. Someone does something not urgent and not important, the same. It's not necessary to people come. It's called interruptions. I mean, interruption, as I said before, is you need to very, very clear with your boundaries and with all boundaries. Boundaries are very clear. You need to know how to say no. This is very difficult because we can't say no. Because when you say no, you regret. You have a sense of guilty. You have a sense of guilty. When you regret, you say someone not, you say, oh my God, I say no to my mate. I say no to my client. I say no to my whatever. And my professor, you say no. A student say no. I'm tutor and say, well, I'm going to say, I will let it to say it. Why not if you record yourself? I'm telling something about tutor activities for the students might help you say no. I don't want you to be recorded. The students say, I'm afraid of it. I prefer to do another thing. So sometimes if you do it, you say no with a response, okay, with some response, okay? So these activities are just a distraction and should be avoided, okay, this way. So in terms of no to say is when you are collaborate. It's different in terms of exam, okay? Say you say no, I'm going, well, we are talking about something when you are working on groups as a tutor, and tutor working as mentor tutor is called the program is different. So the not urgent for finish for today, for finish before breakfast, But before take a break, this is my the not urgent and not important activities. These are activities, they are something that are distractions when someone is not urgent, something that's not very important, when someone send an email, or we just say no politely, not give you any value to the company. So you need to put boundaries. You need to put boundaries. This is my value. No, I'm not. You can respond politely. I'm very well aware, but have now time to work. Perhaps tomorrow, 4 days, we can have a meeting, and you can state it, and we can respond it. Well, for me, it's so very important. Boundaries says they will often not ask you to do important activities in future. So when you see yourself by being very assertive, is something that we studied on the 4th day. On the 3rd, we studied to being assertive, how I need to say no for people. How I wanted to learn to say no for people, because when people ask me something, every time I say yes, yes, yes. So how I learn it. So this is fantastic, because we learned in the 3rd day, we learned about how to say no for people. So it's time, it's 10:30. So I'm going to come back to decided to leave about my presentations. So I think it's on 10:45 or approximately 47 or 10:50. Perfect. I think so.
Yeah, maybe 10:50.
10:50. Perfect.
Yep, super.
Super. 10:50. We come back. So take a break or take a coffee, wherever you want. Wanted to do something, and in 10:30, 10:50, we come back. Okay. Bye bye then.
Bye bye.